In today's video, we're going to make our very first space game using Microsoft MakeCode Arcade. If you're a beginner, this is perfect for you. So, without wasting any time, let's get started.
Hey, I'm Callum, and today I'm going to show you how to make your first game in MakeCode Arcade. We're going to keep it really simple. It's going to be a bit of a taster game. It's going to be like Space Invaders, and I'm going to show you in a minute what it looks like. It's going to be simple, it's going to be fun. I don't expect you to fully understand all the blocks right now. We're going to go over that in future videos. Just follow along. At the end you'll have a game that you can show your friends and family, and hopefully know a bit more about MakeCode Arcade. Here we are. This is the game we are going to be making today. A little monkey throwing bananas at these little bats trying to attack me. It has a bit of a timer, a scoreboard. It's super simple. I'm going to ask you guys to be really creative with the characters you're using and all the different elements that we'll be able to change later on. So let me quickly bring up MakeCode Arcade. Okay, so in the description there's going to be a link to this website. I want you to go down there, and whilst you're on here I want you to go to new project, and we're going to call this one simply Space Invaders, or whatever you want to call it. It's your game, you can choose the name. It's going to take you to this screen. It's going to be very similar to Scratch. A lot of you might have used Scratch before. It's very similar. It's Microsoft's version of Scratch. So on the left side here we have a game window. This is where all of the elements we code are going to go. Here on the middle we're going to have the different toolbox elements, so sprites where we can go get our characters and stuff. We'll go through this in more detail later. And then our main area, workspace here, where we're going to drop the actual code blocks into. So firstly, let's make the character. Let's keep it simple. Alright, let's make a character. I want you to go to sprites, and I'm going to grab the set my sprite 2 block. I'm going to grab that and we're going to pull it on the onStart container. First of all, I want you to rename this variable. We're going to call this, I'm going to call mine monkey, because I'm going to choose a monkey. You could choose whatever you want for your name. We're going to make sure it's set to player, and then click this grey bubble. So here we can actually draw whatever character we want. We can draw our own monkey, have plenty of colours, or we can go to the gallery. My choice. I'm not very creative, so I'm going to go into the gallery and pick one of the pre-made ones. I've got lots of monkeys here. I'm going to go with, I think I'll go with this one. It looks like he's throwing something. He will be, so go with that one. And as we'll see, if we look in our game window on the left here, we have our monkey that's now appeared. So we have a monkey. It's a bit boring on the background of black, so I'm going to change the background color. If we go over to scene, you'll see a block called set background color. Let's grab that. I'm going to put it right at the top. We're going to then select whatever color you want. I'm going to go with green because monkeys are like in a forest, so I'm going to go with green. That will change the game window. That's perfect. Alright, next thing. We want our monkey to be down here at the bottom of the screen, not in the middle. So we're going to go to sprites, and we're going to find set my sprite position 2. We're going to change my sprite to monkey because it relates to the monkey, and we're just going to put him right at the bottom, about in the middle. That's where he's going to start the game. There we go. That's about perfect. At the moment he can't move though. I want to make it so he can move. How we do that is we go to controller, and we're looking for the move my sprite with buttons. I'm going to put that underneath. Again, we're going to change this to monkey. We're also actually going to click this plus, and that's going to allow us to go on the x-axis, so that's left and right, and the y-axis, which is up and down. So now if we play the game, our monkey can move around the screen. However, in Space Invaders, you can't move around the whole screen. You can only move down the bottom. So we're going to change y-axis, that's our up and down, to 0. So our player cannot move up and down at all. Our x will keep the same. That will allow us to go left and right. But now we can't go up and down. So, next thing we need to do is currently our player can go off the screen. Not good. Makes the game a little easier if she can go off the screen. So I want you to go back into sprites and find something that says set my sprite stay in screen. We're going to grab that block and we're going to pull it into my onStart container. We're going to again select monkey and make sure that is set to on. So now our monkey should be able to stay in the screen. Perfect. Now we can't go off the screen. Perfect, so that's our player done. Very simple. The next main thing we want to do is make it so our monkey can actually throw a banana. So we're going to go into game. We're going to go to on game update every. And what this block simply does is every 500 milliseconds it's going to do what's inside this container again and then again and again. We're going to actually change 500 milliseconds to 1 second. So 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. So every 1 second, so 1, 2, what's in this code block will happen. So what we're going to do is I want you to grab set my sprite. Again, this is how we've created our character. We're going to create an enemy this time. So let's call this, I'm going to name this to bat. And we want to set player to enemy because of course it's an enemy. This will be important later. And then let's go to game and let's find enemy. Let's find our enemy. Here it is. I'm going to go with this bat because it looks like it's swishing down, right? Perfect. So now, every 1 second, a new bat's going to appear on our screen. However, we haven't set the position. So let's set the position of the bat like we did with the monkey. So we're going to set the position by going to sprites and getting the position again. Get bat. We're actually going to set the X position randomly. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to maths, and under maths you'll be able to find a block that says pick random. And we're going to drag that and put that in the X. And we're going to change it so it's between 0 and 120. So that 120 is the length of the top of this screen. So now, every 1 second, randomly another bat comes to the top of the screen. That's great. However, it's a bit easy when they're not flying down at us. So we need to give it some velocity. And velocity simply is speed. So we want it to come flying towards us. So when you go to sprites, and we're going to look for set my sprite velocity to. We're going to grab that block. And we're going to pull it again on the on-game update every, change it to bat, and so we want it to go down, which is not the x-axis. We want to get rid of that, set it to 0, and we want to go on the y-axis. But positive 50 would be up, so we want minus 50, so we can go down. So we're going to simply put that to minus, well, it could be between 50 and 100, doesn't matter. And now we'll have some bats that, I made a mistake. It's actually, we want it to come down at us. We want it actually to be a positive 100, right? Now the bats will come flying down at us. A little too fast though. 50 is more reasonable for this game. Perfect. So now we've got some bats flying down on the screen, right? Okay, so now I'm going to put this to one side and we're going to create the bananas that we can shoot at the bat. So I want you to go over to controller and find on A button press. So every time we click the A button, which is this button, or the space bar on your keyboard, what the code inside this container will happen, okay? So let's now go to sprites, and we're going to find a block, if we scroll down, called set projectile to. So this is a projectile, which is just simply like something that you shoot. So we're going to set my projectile to, and we're going to say we want it to shoot from the monkey. Again, so this is the velocity, like earlier we did with the bat. We want it to shoot upward, so this time it's minus 50, and we want to set the Vx to 0 again. We don't want it to go left and right, we want it to go up and down. Let's also do this. I'm actually going to quickly draw myself a banana. It might not be the best drawn banana, so bear with me. This is my banana. That will do. So now, every time we press A on the game, we will see a banana is being shot from our monkey. But nothing has happened. Nothing happens if we get touched by the bat. Nothing happens if the projectile actually touches the bat either. So now we need to code it to do that, right? So I want you to head over again to sprites and scroll right down to the bottom till you see this one that says on sprite of kind player overlaps other sprite kind of player. Grab that and put that underneath the start container. So here we're going to do is, this is where our kinds matter. So earlier we had set our monkey to player and we set our bat to enemy. The projectile automatically is set to projectile. So what we're going to do in this overlap container is we're going to do when the player overlaps, let's say, the projectile. Actually no, we don't want the player to overlap the projectile. Let's do when the player overlaps the enemy. So that's when the bat touches the monkey, do what's inside this container. So what do we want to happen when we get touched by the bat? First of all, we want the bat to get destroyed so it doesn't constantly overlap us. So first we're going to go to and find destroy my sprite. We're going to put that in the container, and then we're going to drag the other sprite, which relates to enemy, and we're going to drag that, and we're going to put that on there. Perfect. So now when we play the game, every time the monkey touches the bat vanishes. Perfect. So what we need to do next is some sort of life system. So every time we get touched, we actually lose a life. So first we need to set some lives at the beginning of the game. So let's go to info, and inside info I want you to find set life 2. You see, we have set life 2 here. I'm going to drag that, and we're going to put that right at the start of the container, of the onStart container. Remember, everything that happens in this container happens at the beginning of the game. So we're going to set the life to 3 to start. And then when the player overlaps the enemy, we're going to change the life by 1. So let's go back to info and find change life by. Let's grab change life by and put it inside the overlap container. So now, every time the bat touches, perfect, we lose a life, you see? And then when we out of lives, it has an automatic game over. Perfect. So now we need to do another overlap container. When the banana touches the actual bat, the bat vanishes and we get a score. Maybe 1 score, but you could change that to whatever you want. So again, let's go to sprites. Let's go down and let's look for another onSprite of kind overlap container. Let's put that down here. We're going to get another destroy. So we go back to sprites, go to destroy again. And this time we're going to do player overlaps player. No, we want to do when the enemy overlaps with a projectile. We want to destroy the enemy. We're actually going to destroy the enemy and the projectile this time. So I want you to go back to sprites again, get another destroy, and also destroy the projectile. So now if we play the game, when we shoot our banana, you see, we actually destroy the projectile and the bat, which is perfect. So the next thing we need to do is create a score system. So I want you to go back to info where we found the lives and get set score to. That's what we're going to set the score to at the beginning of the game. We want to set it to 0 to start the game. So let's put that underneath our set lives. Start the game with 0 score. If you look in our game window up here, it's going to say 0. We're then going to go back to info and change the score by 1 every time the enemy touches a projectile. So if we play the game, you see now we get a score. Every time it touches, we get a score. So now that's pretty much the whole game done. What we need to do is add a timer to finish. So again, back into info, we're going to look for something that says start countdown. So we're going to scroll down. Here it is. So we're going to grab start countdown. We're going to put that at the beginning of the game, like the set life and set score. We're going to change 10 to, let's say 30 seconds. I think 30 seconds is a good number. You could change it to whatever you want. And now we've got 30 seconds to play our game. And get as many scores as possible. So that's pretty much the whole game. What I want you to do is, obviously, I want you to go in and change maybe some of the parameters. So that's basically, 1 second. Maybe you want to have it 500 milliseconds. Maybe you want to have it a bit faster, so it's a bit harder. See, now this is significantly harder now. Maybe you want to give yourself 2 lives instead of 3. Maybe you want to give yourself 5 score every time you overlap when you shoot one of the... You can play around with this however you want.